I'm Rob.
And I'm Mike.
And welcome to another edition of Let's Get Ethical.
All right. Welcome back in, everybody. We're here again to talk ethics. It's what we do. Right, Rob?
What we do. It's what we do. We talk ethics. And you know, Mike, we always like to bring up how ethics is in every single conversation.
Absolutely. But before we get to all of that, let me get the housekeeping stuff out of the way. So make sure that you like and subscribe. Don't forget to I was looking at something today, Rob. This is going to be kind of stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? So we have merch, everyone. Surprise, we have merch. Oh, hey, Melissa, we didn't mean to bring you in just yet.
Welcome.
Well, we're leaving you in now.
I like merch.
Yeah,
so we have
merch.
We have merch. The front of our shirts look like that. The back of our shirts look like that. We don't have any ratings or anything yet. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. We don't have a single rating.
We're all screwed up. There we go. We don't. And so I'm going to buy one if I can. So rate us or leave a review on Apple Podcasts or something. I don't even care if it's a 1-star. It doesn't matter, right? If you don't like us, you don't like us. That's fine. We should know, right? 100% we should know. But make sure that after you do, you email us at letsgetethicalpodcast@gmail.com so that we know that you rated us, and I will send you a shirt. I'm buying a rating. It doesn't even have to be a good rating. I'm just buying a rating. If you have anything to tell us, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment on these things. Email us if you want. We do get emails, but I haven't replied to any of the emails yet because, quite honestly, they all seem to be coming from the UK, which is kind of awesome. Melissa. Yeah. Well, let's get that out of the way. We already brought her on. I'm sorry. The stage got all screwed up. So
that's okay.
Why don't you take care of this?
Well, I'm going to say something that here's the cool thing. So today we're going to talk about leadership ethics. And we have a special guest, as you can already see. She's here with us. But I want to say a little bit about you, Meliza Walsh, before we get rolling, because you have become such a rising star in the field of respiratory therapy right now. I mean, like, you are at the bedside, you're in the boardroom, you are the director of respiratory care at Children's Memorial Hermann Hospital, which is part of the Texas Medical Center.
Awesome.
And you lead clinical operations, you're developing strategic growth, team development, and you're doing so in one of the most high acuity pediatric environments in the entire country. But what we believe really sets you apart is you have this amazing heart for the profession. You're deeply committed to mentoring new grad RTs. And I see, like, you post about your new graduate RT program. You're building leadership pathways for your team. You're creating resilience. You're engaging your teams, and you want them to deliver better outcomes for their patients and the clinicians. And in case you don't know about Meliza, she is very actively involved in the Texas Society of Respiratory Care, as well as the AARC. You are an advocate for the profession, and you are investing in the future at every single level. Another caveat to put into your little hat is that you were a guest judge on the hit series, The Shift.
Nice.
Right? The Shift. And if you don't know, she is the host of SIS, Let's Talk Leadership. And I want to give a shout out to you and your podcast, because you, with purpose, are devoting so much time to women leaders in healthcare. So everybody, welcome Meliza Walsh to Let's Get Ethical. Woo!
Woo! Awesome.
That was quite an intro.
Melissa. And make sure you guys go take a look at her podcast, Sis Let's Talk Leadership. Check that out 100%. Rob, that was way awesome, better than I normally do. So
she's
Rob,
awesome. I mean, she's awesome. How lucky are we?
Rob, it's all you.
Thank you. I do want to point out that she is the better half of Dr. Brian Walsh.
100%. 100%.
You know,
and the next time you see me and I see Brian, I might have a black eye, but that'll because Brian will probably whack me in the face.
There was nothing
and hopefully
better.
That will be in August.
Yeah, hopefully in August, because we really want to come and visit you guys in Texas.
That'd be awesome. That'd be great. I'd love to have you here.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, first and foremost, thank you for that amazing introduction. I think it's very humbling to see that what I'm doing is so evident to people. And I think that it's sometimes very hard to share that with the community outside of the four walls of where you work at. But I'm a huge believer that you should work in your home community and make that difference there before it starts to spill out elsewhere. Because if not, you're not really walking the walk. And I think it's easy for a lot of people to just talk about what they're doing and do all these things. But I think it's awesome that you guys can see how incredibly passionate I am about leadership and about building the community that I'm a part of. And I'm very grateful to be surrounded by some really amazing people. But most importantly, thank you for giving me bragging rights at home because my husband loves your podcast. And I was like,
thank you, Brian.
And we are
thank you so much. That means the world to us. That's awesome.
He does. He loves listening in. And, we're both some of our conversations, I think people would like to be a fly on the wall. And awesome. I will tell you, I'm going to make this public knowledge now because now I can hold him to it. He refuses to do a pro-con with me. He refuses to,
really?
And I'd love to. I would love to do a pro-con with him in front of people, and he refuses to.
Let's Get Ethical podcast.
Yeah, we should.
We'll moderate.
There you go. See, we should. I think it'd be great. But thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I really love what you guys are doing and what you're talking about. I think you're discussing a lot of relevant topics and things that are very important for not just respiratory, but for all of healthcare dynamics or, disciplinaries to listen to and understand, but also understand how our ITs actually fit into that mold because we really do a lot more than we think.
Thank you so much.
We absolutely do. Thank you very much. And we do. Thank you for pointing out that we're not just about respiratory. We are about being inclusive to everybody in healthcare. And, if you're watching this podcast and you're not a respiratory therapist and you want to, again, come on and there's a topic that you want to join us with, we invite everybody, physical therapy, nursing, providers, everybody to take part in our conversation because ethics it's in every single part of our life, right? It's in everything that we do and it surrounds us and it makes us better people. And so, Meliza, we are very fond of going down Alice's rabbit hole on this show.
Oh my gosh.
Go.
And so I'm going to take you right down the rabbit hole.
Let's go.
When you think about ethics in leadership, what does it mean to you? Tell us what ethical leadership looks like. What do you stand for when you think about ethical leadership?
That's a wonderful question. I will tell you, I have done a lot of personal leadership development because I've always wanted to be a leader that someone goes towards and aspires to be like or feels comfortable coming to and trusting. But I think what it means to me is someone that knows their core values, someone that spends some time to anchor themselves on something, because as you both know, and as I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, it's very easy to get lost in the thick of it. There's things that come up. And if you are not anchored to your core values, if you don't know what they are, you will be swayed by anything. So for me, my core values are integrity, faith, and family. If there is anything,
love it.
And if there's anything that I'm doing, if it compromises any of those three, it's not right. It's not for me. It's not for where our team is going. And I think that those are the three main drivers that then kind of take me through the different facets of decision making or how to navigate certain situations or how not to get stuck in things or get tunnel vision. But to me, ethics is having the ability to anchor on core values to help you push things forward or sometimes to sit in it for a little bit until you've learned your lesson to be able to move the team and yourself forward.
I love that your first value is integrity. And that's the way I feel. I think, Mike, you feel the same way, that one of your primary core values is integrity. And without integrity, we're nobody, right? If we compromise our personal integrity or if we compromise our integrity as leaders, it really leaves us in a really bad spot. right? We can't hold other people accountable. We can't set expectations if we can't meet our own integrity, right? And so that's really awesome that you said that.
You have to hold yourself accountable first.
Yeah, and that's true. So, that brings up the question of, as a leader, because I think we all struggle as leaders of how do we treat everybody fairly and equitably, and we hold everybody accountable. As a leader, how do you think about the ethical of holding people accountable? How do you go about that in your day-to-day processes? Because it's hard.
Yeah, it is. I think we have to move away from the likability scale. I think a lot of course, we all want to be liked. We all want to be adored. And we all want the kind of introduction you just gave me. Like, that's kind of what we all hope for, right? And we think, going into leadership, everyone's going to love me. I have these great ideas and everybody's going to love it. And it's not the case. Like, that's not typically what happens. Right. So I think Mike, I think you just said that it goes back to you hold yourself accountable to certain things. So I'm very consistent with a lot of things. Like, I will round for night shift. Night shift will know when I am rounding, and I'm very consistent to it. If anything changes, I make it very public knowledge that what they expect from me will change this week. And I would explain why. I don't necessarily go into like the details of personal things. I'll just say like, hey, I've had a conflict. Something has come up. This is what has changed. This is how I'm going to make up for that. Or if you need me, this is how you can reach me. And sticking to some of those things. And I think the other thing too is as you're doing that, people come to know what to expect from you. They'll know how you react. And it reduces that anxiety and fear that they might feel with going to talk to leadership, right? The division between I'm a staff member, you're leadership, we're not on the same side of the fence. I'm like, actually, we are. We're all in the same backyard, just different parts of it. Maybe someone's tending to the flowers and someone else is tending to the trees and someone else is watering the grass or whatever the case may be. But I think that if you start holding yourself accountable first in what your team should expect from you, then when you come to the team, you're not asking them for something you yourself don't do for them.
It's a walk the walk, not just a talk the talk, right?
Yeah. It's like, I love to always say that I'm just a grunt in the field, right? I have no problem getting my boots down in the mud with my team all the time. And I think that our teams appreciate and they love us. And that's part of being a strong ethical leader. And having integrity and having accountability is not being afraid to get out there and demonstrate that I'm no different than you.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I would. I actually got teased for wearing scrubs when I first started. It's a great story. This is a great story. I started and I would have the charges. They're called operational coordinators for us, but they're charge RTs. And I asked them, I was like, can you please kind of take me around to round one? I don't know where to go. Two, I don't know the people. So I was wearing scrubs, and today is clearly a rounding day for me, which is why I'm wearing scrubs. And I was with the night shift supervisor, and we were walking through, and he's like, hey, everybody, this is Melissa. She's new with us. We're so excited to have her. I got asked if I was a new grad RT like 4 different times, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Absolutely. I was like, yes, I am. I am fresh and new, completely new. I'm a baby RT. And awesome. I think it's making light of those types of things that humanize leaders, because I think sometimes maybe the way that I grew up, I always thought of leadership as something that was unattainable. Or they were so above it. And I don't want to be that leader. I don't want to come off or give my team the perception that I am above them. And in the same night, someone finally realized that I was the new director. And so I was like, you're the new director, aren't you? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, why aren't you correcting people? And I'm like, because it doesn't really matter. I want to meet people where they're at. I want to see who they are. I don't want them to put up a facade of who they think they should be around me. I need to get to know this team for who they are, because how else am I going to know what they need from me if when I come around, they just sit a little straighter? If I come around,
you get to know a different side of them too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. If they know I'm in charge, they may act differently. I'd like to know. Yeah. For me, it's personal. I think leadership is very personal.
Yes.
And I'm an educator, but I'm still a leader. I'm a leader in the department as well as to my students. And so to my students, I I think of it as it's a family. And
Yeah.
I tell my students, look, I'm your uncle. I'm that crazy uncle that you kind of tell stuff to, who doesn't judge you, but can
Yeah.
help you,
Yeah.
and so I try to have them look at us that way. And I get very personal with people in general. I like to think that if I was a department manager or director, I would also get personal, which makes people uncomfortable at first. But like you said earlier, going back to your point of, you don't necessarily tell them what's going on, just that you have a conflict. I actually tell them. I say, look, my mom is busy trying to get diagnosed here. My mom, we're trying to figure out if it's cancer. Right. And I'll tell them this is what's going on in my life. And to me, I feel like that if I'm willing to open up to you, you're going to be more likely to open up to me. And I need to know what they're going through, because I can't bend over backwards for someone and help them if I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So to me, leadership is also very personal.
That's a really awesome perspective. To offer a different perspective, I think where I'm coming from is I want people to know, and maybe it's because of the role that I am in, that I'm more like, I am here to support you and serve you. Whatever burden I may be carrying is not for you. Like I need to help you, True. So, but I do love that. And I do think that there's room and space for that. I think that the way that I do that is just by sharing that I have children. Like when people tell me I was like, oh, how old are your kids? And then they'll ask me how old my kids are, and they're around the same age, and pulling it from that angle. But I think it's awesome that you are making it personal, because we spend a lot of time at work. And a lot of the times it's really heavy discussion. So it's nice to have a more mellow, just getting to know you because you genuinely care, not because it's your job to care,
Right.
Well, prior to being in this director position, what other leadership positions did you hold? Because I don't know that I know the answer to that.
Oh, yes. So I was assistant director. I was an assistant director prior to that for 2 years for a wonderful organization. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about resiliency. So that was really 2 tough years, learning a whole new team and a new organization. But it taught me a lot about me and what was important to me, and boundaries and respect for others, and kind of, how to not take things personal. And because I think I was that very personal person, and then things would hurt me. And I'm like, man, I can't keep doing this. I will burn out. Prior to that, I was at Children's Colorado, and I was a clinical manager there. I was an associate clinical manager with them. But I spent most of my career at Children's Colorado, and they were pretty awesome as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I think you hit on a really good point about not taking things personally. And I know I struggled initially too when I was a new leader. And I think part of that comes from when you work in healthcare, and you are so in tune to demonstrating compassion and having empathy and caring, that when you step into these leadership positions, I don't think we get prepared well enough to understand that people are going to take pot shots at you.
Yes, they are.
They do. Whether they could be your best friend, and the next day you're the manager, and they're taking pot shots at you,
because it's always your fault.
It's always your fault.
It's always your fault. 100%.
And it's always our fault. And I think that really leads to that we have to have moral courage in leadership, right? Ethical leadership. It requires this courage to lead and to move forward, despite the fact that some people might say things to us. I mean, how did you find that moral courage when people said things that were hurtful to you? Like, how did you put that aside and say, I need to just not let that bother me? Because I know it's something I struggled with, and I'd love to hear how you fought your way through that.
Yeah.
I will tell you, to get personal, now that I know that Mike likes that. The first year that I was in a leadership position, that I was solely responsible for a whole team. Like, there was no one above me. The person above me was just like, I just want updates. Everything else you need to take care of, right? And I remember coming home and just having a series of really, really rough months, not days, months.
Oh, wow.
And I remember coming home and telling Brian, and I was like, I don't think I'm made for this. Like, I cried the whole way home. I had been crying into work because I was taking things very personally. I was like taking those personal attacks, like, I'm failing them. I'm not made for this. And this man had the audacity to meet me with logic. I was like, no, like, you don't understand. I'm in my feelings. Like, don't give me a logical response. And he said to me, he's like, you just need to give them time to get to know you.
Yeah.
My response was, I don't want them to get to know me. They don't deserve that. They're so mean to me. Like, they say these things and they do these things and it's awful. And, I go home crying and stuff like that. And he's like, just give it a year. Mm-hmm. And my response to him was, what does 1 year do? What is so magical about a year? And he's like, stay consistent. When they go low, you go high. And I was like, I don't like this. Your plan is terrible. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why people read your book.
Hey.
Yeah. So, but, we, through all of that, the good things that he did was he did realize like that listening was really good. So find yourself a leadership buddy is what I'm trying to get to. Is find yourself a leadership buddy that will counterbalance some of the criticism that will come your way, because it will come and it will never stop. If it's not at the beginning of your leadership transition, it will happen throughout your leadership transition. I was very fortunate that in that 1 year, I actually became very, very close friends with the manager I was working with. And we would sit down and we would strategize and we would work through the things together. The difference that having one person in your corner makes is astonishing. We all need a buddy, a leadership buddy, or someone that will cheer you on, but someone that will also give you the tough love when you need that. Like, hey, you could have handled that better. This is what you might consider doing. And I mean, big shout out to Lindsay Frank. She's the bomb. She is, I think, one of the most amazing people I've ever met, just genuinely kind and caring. And she's just a go-getter. But I'm sure you'll start hearing that name a little bit more. She's getting out there and she's trying to get stuff done. And she also loves respiratory, but get you a leadership buddy.
Yeah, everybody needs a sounding board. You need a sounding board. You need that person that you trust. And I, if I may tell a quick story about my DCE, Danny, I apologize. This guy, he's great for me because I get him. I've known him for 10 years, actually probably a little longer now. But he, if he only needs 3 words, you're only getting 3 words. Whereas if I only need 3 words, you're getting 2 paragraphs. And it's just the difference in communication styles. And so, so he'll send me an email and he'll say, hey, before I send this out, I don't want to make anybody mad. And I'll take it and I'll rewrite it and I'll send it back. And he'll be like, why are there so many words? And I'm like, just send it. I changed your tone. It still says what you said, just differently. And and it's when you have someone that you can trust, that is this person said this, and if anybody else had said it, I'd take it this way. But because this person is someone I trust, I'm not set up to take it that way. So I can take it for what it's worth and what's really meant. Right. And so that's the buddy that you're referring to, is somebody that you can rely on. And when they're criticizing you, it's a constructive criticism, even if it comes out differently. That's important for everyone to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as a leader, that's important for us to be, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Leadership's tough. I am in Melissa's corner because my very first manager position, every Saturday morning, I looked at my wife and said, oh my God, I made the biggest mistake of my life.
That's awesome.
Because that's exactly how I felt. And she was like my person in the corner at home, just supporting me and saying, no, you're the right person for the job. Believe in yourself. You can go in there. You can do it. You can make positive change. I think part of it too is not everybody appreciates that we're human. Yeah. And we're not perfect and we make mistakes, right? We make bad judgment calls. We make decisions sometimes with only 20% of the information. And then when we have more information, we have to make some changes. But that's part of like being ethical and being moral and having values as leaders, is recognizing that we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes.
Well, course correcting is part of leadership.
Absolutely. But a lot of, and I think Melissa will agree that sometimes it's hard for people to understand that course pivots are necessary.
Yeah.
Especially sometimes I don't care if you're in a small organization or, Melissa, your organization is huge.
Huge.
It's huge, right? You work for a huge organization, and that sometimes you just have to make pivots. Mm-hmm. I want to go back to something for a second, if I could, because in the beginning of this, we spoke a lot about integrity. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what your opinion is, but I want to dive into social media for a second, because I think ever since COVID, and Mike and I have had this conversation, we've had this conversation with other guests.
Oh, yeah.
That for some reason, social media has grown into this, I'm going to call it a monster in respiratory, and not just respiratory.
The devil. Let's just call it what it is.
It's the devil.
100%.
And I think what befuddles me and befuddles Mike, and we want to get your take on it, Melissa, is that the things that people post on social media, it just astounds me, not just as a practitioner, but as a respiratory therapist, and definitely as a leader. When I see things that people post about purposefully not seeing a patient, not doing therapy, or having people post like, hey, am I going to get drug tested for marijuana? And somebody saying, yeah, you better lay off it. And then once you're good, seriously, be kind of cool about it. I kid you not, that was a real post. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to bring up the same conversation, Mike, that I had, that I wrote out a whole thing about it and I didn't post it, but I needed to just get it off my chest. And Melissa, as a leader, as someone with integrity and ethics and values and morals, how do you deal with that? How would you handle that if you saw something and you're like, that's my staff person posting that?
First of all, do you see it? Yeah. And do you look for it? Do you?
No. I don't look for it.
Okay.
I don't look for it. I do come across it. I do come across it.
Can I give you a couple examples?
Yes, I actually have an example for you, but please show me what you have.
So this was on Facebook. I have 3 that I chose, right? So here's one. If you order QID nebs and you don't need them, you just refused one of your treatments and didn't know it. Now, these people didn't blur their names. Their names were attached to this.
Yeah.
And there were tens of tens. There maybe weren't 100, but there were a lot of these. Another one was this one. I barely count. Oh, sorry. Let's get rid of that for a sec. I barely ever count respirations, but put down from anywhere from 16 to 20. I only will if they have labor breathing. And somebody else put same. And then someone else, I throw a 22 in there sometimes to spice things up. These are real people. These are real therapists.
Yeah.
And then the third one, I love this one. I'm probably not going to do CPT.
Yeah.
Probably equals 0 chance. And then never, but I will chart it.
Yeah.
And I throw these in with the people's names in my ethics presentations that I give to my students. I want them to see that these are real people doing real stupid things. And they're throwing, if you came across something like this, if you were just, I don't know, doom scrolling Facebook, and these were like respiratory therapy page or respiratory therapy break room, somewhere in there. And I mean, you can also see that some of these rising contributor, some of these people.
That's what I was going to ask. I was like, look at them just being a rising star.
Some of these people are common posters, which blows my mind. And look, 119 people laughing at it and liking it, 34 people laughing at it and liking it. If you came across this and this was one of your employees, I'm just curious, what would your take be? What would your initial reaction be? How would you calm yourself back down? And then how would you deal with that?
So we had not exactly that. We had something similar about, there was a post about me. Would you work for this leader? Describing me.
Oh, wow.
And and then some people had posted, don't work for her. She's just there to fire you.
Nice.
Yeah. No, if you try to explain why you're right, she'll tell you why you're wrong. You better know your policies if you're going to go talk to her. You know what? I didn't get offended because I'm like,
Good for you. Good for you.
I was like, that's right. Know your policies. That is your responsibility. It's your ethic
Yep.
responsibility as a healthcare clinician to know your policies. And guess what? If you are wrong, I probably told you you were wrong and I probably explained why. So, and then it's like, she's here to clean up house. That one, I was like, you know what? Yes. Because if you don't belong here, I will encourage you to find happiness elsewhere, but not with my patient population, not under the responsibility scope of who we need to take care of. That standard doesn't fit for our organization. So I think that, when I saw that, I think people brought it out of like, oh my gosh, did you see this? And I looked at it and I laughed. And I was like, but guess what? No one knows why that person got terminated. That's integrity. Until this day, correct. Nobody knows why the person that posted that got fired. I know that person knows. The people involved in HR know, but no one else knows because I didn't share that openly with anyone. Right.
Because it's nobody's. Yeah, that's it is integrity. It's nobody else's business. I think as leaders, a lot of times we'll get told, well, you don't hold people accountable. And my reply to that is, well, do you want other people to know that you and I brought you in the office and you got a written warning, or do you want other people to know that?
Yeah, but just between the three of us, what was the answer? No, I'm kidding.
Well, I think even Mike, you would agree that people will say, well, no, I don't want anybody to know that. I'm like, well, then how can you say that I'm not holding somebody accountable? Because my ethical standard, right, to yours and to yours, Mike, is it's none of your business.
Yeah.
That's integrity. That's leading your team well. I love that you weren't that the things that people posted about you, they were true. Yes.
They were actually true.
I want you to do your job, and I want you to be academic, and I want you to be collegial, and I want you to know our policies. And I am here to right size and make sure that everybody's rowing in the right direction. And kudos for you, right, for not being offended by that, because at the end of the day, you're like, well, no, wait a minute. That's why I am in this leadership position.
Yeah, and Rob, you make a great point right there that there's two ways to say something. There's the negative and there's the positive. Both include the truth.
Yes.
Right. And I mean, and let's face it, we can pull in MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, right? The way that they present the information, the way that person presented the information, presented it in a negative light as though it was a you problem, without taking accountability for maybe their part in it, or recognizing, or even wanting to recognize. And I don't know the person, I don't know the situation, and I don't care. But I see, and I swore to myself I wasn't going to go into this, but here I go. Social media, these influencers or wannabe influencers who post things that are clickbaity. And they're posting it because they want to get views, and they want to be an influencer, or they feel that's what we do these days. But what they're posting is 80% accurate. It leaves a lot of room for what if, and the use of the word. What's the word, Rob?
Allegedly.
You know where they learned that from.
Allegedly to me, when somebody on social media says allegedly, it means my friend heard it from her friend, from his friend, from a friend, from a friend, from a friend. And this is the story that I got through a game of telephone, or if you're an old person, it's Whisper Down the Lane from way back in the day, right? And this is the story as it's evolved now. And I'm just going to throw the word allegedly in. Well, no, it's not allegedly. This is the story I heard. Let's be honest and say that this is the story I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'd love for you to click on my page, right? That's irresponsible. That just to me. Anyway, I had to get that off my chest. Sorry.
No, I think it's good.
I think
it bugs me. And That's why I'm not on social media. I haven't been on. If you need to get a hold of me, you need to go to LinkedIn. Because anybody who posts anything political on LinkedIn, I apologize to you now, but I've blocked you because that's not what I view LinkedIn as being for. If you want to post, go to Facebook where people love to have those conversations. I'm not there for that. That's my professional profile. It's my professional page, and that's what I'd like to leave it as. I have a Facebook account. I have an Instagram account. My dogs have an Instagram account. My dogs do have an Instagram account. My dogs have a TikTok. I haven't been on any one of those in more than a year. And awesome. God, life is so much better. I'm so happier, so much happier.
Yeah, it's just, it can be such a distraction. I think to answer your original question though, like if that was one of my team members, we'd have to have a conversation like, hey.
Yeah.
But I will also say this, because integrity is one of my core values. I would also beg the question is, where are my leaders that they're not catching this? Where am I that I don't have a pulse that my team members are doing this, that I am not acknowledging in real time? Like, for example, we had a conversation today about nitric and how a device works. And we had noticed a trend of how some of our team members were troubleshooting the INO device. And when I was rounding, handing out snacks, because that's how I kind of get everybody to come to me, is like, you want candy, you want sugar? Oh, you know what? I already love your wife. Okay.
My wife is all about that. Yeah.
Yes. So, I asked the question like, hey, we're noticing that when you guys are troubleshooting, you're utilizing the backup and not the primary. Right. Can someone just explain why? Like, I'm assuming, and I shared what my assumption was, I am assuming you're using the backup because something's wrong with the primary. And when you did your troubleshooting, it didn't work. So you went to the secondary. When you do that, do you realize that now you don't have a backup?
Right.
Oh, and what was the response?
The response was like, we didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And, they started to kind of share what their situations were. And I was like, okay, tell me more, because the way that I'm perceiving this is you are moving really quickly in response to a high stress situation. Patient's probably decompensating and you're responding to do what you can, but you're not circling back to address the actual problem. It's okay to use the backup. That's what the backup is there for. The second part of that is once you have stabilized your patient, do you try calling any resource to come give you a whole new device so we can pull that one from service, do what we need to do on our end and follow up, but you have a working device with a backup should there be another emergency? So a lot of the times it truly is making the time and being incredibly intentional about trying to understand, why is this happening? Like, I would ask that person like, hey, why did you skip that treatment? Is it because you don't believe the treatment is necessary? Or is it because you forgot because you were busy? Right? Like when you start thinking about culture, right? Like it's, how did you come to this decision so that I know how to insert myself in the situation? It's either reckless behavior or you're making light of a situation that really isn't funny, because guess what? If that was your loved one, you would not be laughing at that. 119 people would not laugh at that.
Totally. Right. And what did you do when you decided that, or when you felt that was the case? Did you assess the patient and determine that they no longer need QID treatments? And you just chose to say patient refused? Or did you choose to give this one final treatment, go talk to the doctor and have a conversation? Because there are so many things we may not know, right? Maybe for some odd, strange reason that patient had hyperkalemia and really still needed that treatment.
Yeah.
Which we don't think about readily, but is a use. So, who knows? But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not as simple as you don't need it, I'm not giving it. There's another step we need to take. There's another thing we need to do. And you learned about this stuff in school, everybody.
Yep.
Why aren't you practicing that? Is it laziness? Is it cutting corners? Is it ignorance? I mean, because it can be ignorance. Ignorant we use as a negative word, but it's not necessarily a negative word. No. If I don't know something, I am ignorant of that fact or knowledge, and I need to gain it.
Absolutely.
So let's go gain it. It's okay to not know something. You need to learn it, but it's okay to not know it initially. Go get there, right?
Correct.
So it's that kind of stuff that needs to be approached. But I feel like there were close to 100 of these posts and these replies on this, and it was just insane. And I forget what the initial post was that I saw, but it was kind of a let's talk crap about respiratory post on a respiratory page.
Oh, probably tell me
and people were like, I'm in. It just blew my mind.
And these are the same people that say that they're not valued, they're not respected, 100%. Pay me more. Like, so sometimes it does, not everyone, obviously, but sometimes we are our worst enemy. We are not uplifting ourselves as a whole, and the very small amount, because I bet you it's a very small amount of people. And while 119 people seems like a lot, there's 80,000 of us. Is that how much there are? How many RTs across? And it does. I wonder, where's the 119 compared to 80,000?
The smallest percentage have the largest voices. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, so I think it's
the 2%.
Yeah. I hope people do remember, you are misrepresenting yourself, and this will come back to you sooner or later. You missing or not doing or making that unanimous decision that because you don't believe in something that you're not going to do it, you don't believe in the treatment or the efficacy or any of those things, someone's going to get hurt eventually.
Well, and what's funny about that is because I do think about that personally. I work as an expert witness, and I've worked on 28 different cases over the last 13 or 14 years. And I think about that, and I'm like, well, when this comes up, where do I do hop on Facebook and I go and I search, and let's see if this person commented something like that, because if I catch that, well, I give that to the attorney and I go, hey, just so you know, this is that person's attitude that you're deposing tomorrow.
Yep.
And you might want to ask them about this post that they posted right around the same time that they were treating that patient who died, because if somebody needs to be held accountable for stuff like that, and we need to hold ourselves accountable. And if we're not going to, then, a court will.
I would never dream of putting something like that out there.
No.
And people,
even if I did it,
their names, or they put anonymous, but they put pictures of their kids, and it's
totally.
It
blows my mind.
It does. It absolutely blows my mind. And it makes, and I get it. People want to have an outlet. I appreciate that. I appreciate people it's my First Amendment right. Yeah. Okay.
It is, sure.
However,
there are consequences to actions.
But you are purposefully, with malice, saying I didn't do something. To Mike's point, right?
Yeah.
Mike's point. Well, you've now just given ammunition to the lawyers. And we as I don't follow my staff on Facebook. If I'm friends with them initially and then they come work for me, I don't follow them anymore. And that's obviously, I think, as leaders, the best thing for us is to not have our followers and follow them on Facebook, right? That allows us to kind of have that space that needs to be there. I love how you talk about just culture, because that's absolutely. I hear the word just culture all the time, right? And organizations talk about we're a just culture environment. Well, until something happens, and then suddenly you're not a just culture environment.
Right.
I love that and I feel the same way as a leader. I always feel like whenever I round, and this is going to sound funny, I find the one thing that's wrong, right? That nobody else seems to notice.
Yeah.
And I'll bring it up, and I'll tell the staff, I'm like, my job as a leader is I walk around and I mitigate risk all day long. All night long, whatever shift I'm in, wherever I'm at, that's my job, is to protect the organization, protect our patients, and protect you. And that's an ethical obligation we have as leaders.
100%.
And I love how, just culture is about asking why.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if you've encountered this, Meliza, in your rounding, but I've encountered it sometimes where people get a little offensive. Our staff get a little offensive when we start asking the why questions, because they think we're micromanaging them or we're criticizing them. And I always say, I'm not criticizing you. I want to understand, because if you tell me that you have a barrier to doing something. Like you brought up a good point. Why didn't you do this treatment? Hey, I had 3 back-to-back traumas and I couldn't get there. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, how many times has that happened this week? Yeah. Well, I've been in the ER and it's probably happened 40 times. And now we as leaders, we get that information and we get to now peel this back and say, why is this dysfunctional? And again, it all goes back to ethics, right? It all goes back to our morals. It goes back to our values as leaders that we carry and we teach and we bring forth in our departments. So anyway, my point of that was I love that you talk about just culture because we don't have that conversation enough.
Yeah, no, and it's important. And it's, I think, you know, those surveys that all the employees, the voice of the employee survey, which completely like depends on how they're feeling when they do it. So when I know the surveys are coming out, we will round. And by we, I mean me and my leadership. We will round. We're like, hey, we want to hear your voice. There are questions in there that you will be asked. I want you to think about all the things that we have been talking about because your functioning as a leader shouldn't change because a survey is coming out.
Correct.
Like if I start immediately rounding and start listening to people and asking them what their thoughts are and getting their input, those surveys will tell you exactly what is happening. People will not hold back. One of the things that came up most recently was someone told me they're like, hey, some people don't want to fill it out because they're concerned about retaliation. And I was like, well, that's really concerning. Like, what are they thinking about putting in there that they would feel that retaliation would come from that? And I'm like, to me, I mean, maybe another Facebook post, but my response back to that was, hey, go back to those people and tell them if they feel concerned that there will be retaliation, it sounds to me like a bigger conversation needs to be had. I'm happy to talk to them. But if they don't want to talk to me, here are some options of where they can go and talk to about those things because the employee survey is not the platform to discuss those high level concerns because to me, it's like if someone's concerned about retaliation, like you're going to share something that's pretty big, like that's pretty significant. That to me, let's call compliance. Like, let's talk to compliance. Let's do an anonymous call, like encourage that so that we can investigate in that. Even if at the end of the day, that compliance call leads back to you. Because you do, like as a leader, like we talked about, you have to take that accountability back to yourself. What did I contribute to this? Surely not everything, but we have to grow. We have to continue to develop. The leader I was 5 years ago is not the leader I was 2 years ago compared to the leader I am today, right? And all of that came about because I took time to self-reflect. I took feedback. I apologized for like, wow, I did not realize that what I did, what I said made you feel that way. Thank you for telling me. How would you like me to approach it in the future? It's that simple. You know, it's humanizing me that I will make mistakes. I have a very expressive face that I will have the pleasure of talking about body language, presenting at Summer Forum about it. Because, JJ, shout out to JJ, made a meme about me and the way I was looking at him because he said something and I like made a face like, what are you talking about? So he made several memes about it. So it's out there. But, you know, he did it for fun and we're friends. So it's lighthearted. But I think it's okay to say like, I know I have an expressive face. And, you know, Brian loves to watch my face when he sees something because he's like, good God. He's like, if you could see yourself, I was like, you love it. You love the faces I make because you love people watching too. But funny. It's be self-aware as a leader and know that none of us are perfect. There's a lot of things we can all work on. It's one thing at a time though. Like give us time. Like nobody formally trains us for this. And that's the other thing no one thinks about. No one gave us a handbook. We didn't cross this beautiful, happy rainbow of knowledge and experience and wisdom going from staff, clinician, into a leadership role. Like we had to climb and swim and crawl through a lot of life lessons to become the leaders we are today.
Wow, that is fantastic. I think go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's a great place to wrap up.
I couldn't have said any better myself. Wow. Meliza Walsh, thank you so much for joining us today. Mike, this has been another awesome episode. And with that, I'm going to take us out, and I want to tell everybody, join us next time on Let's Get Ethical.